Alright guys, big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, you're here with T-Boy, and we're back with another Spike Brother video. So we have already done the deck profile on the V deck that I was able to do so good with during the Springfest events. And in my eyes, it's the best deck that you could build for V Spike right now. And yeah, today we will show a combo video of the deck. So I will do a shuffling right here, just because I didn't do that yet, and during the shuffling I could talk to you guys about the deck. So if you haven't seen the deck profile yet, you could check it out. It's already on our channel and the link should be in the description section below for you guys to watch, enjoy, and learn something from. In that deck profile, we talked about the other options you could put to the deck. We also talked briefly about the other decks that you could build when it comes to Spike, because there are multiple ones that you could build now. You could build Dudleys, you could build a hybrid between Dudleys and Rising, or you could go pure Rising. If you go pure Rising, there are multiple options that you could do. You could go for the Bull Spike version with the Spiking Cyclone, like the one that I do. But you could also choose to build it with General Siegfried. You could choose to build it with multiple cards. I mean, you could still go hybrid with the Lucifer, which is also very good because then you have access to the Dudley cards. And if you do, then you could do more multi-attacking than the deck already does. Because Dudleys generate less power, but they do generate more multi-attacks. And if you put your opponent at 4 or 5 damage, the multi-attack becomes more effective because they could not take any damage. Alright, so when it comes to this deck, there are lots and lots of strength, but there are also some weaknesses. And for me, I will talk about the strength of the deck and the weaknesses, but not with words. I will show it to you guys by playing the deck. So I think we gave the deck a good shuffle. We'll do one more, but let me also switch this. I think it's easier for me to play like this, just way easier than the other way around. I hope that you guys don't mind. You would not mind. Alright, so let's give it one more shuffle, and I think from that moment on we will be good to go. So we will assume one game we go first, and we will assume another game we go second. Although it doesn't really matter if you go first or second, I will just show you turn 1 till turn 4, the way that I kind of play the deck. I hope that you guys don't copy my playstyle. I hope that guys that don't play Spike will not watch this video, because otherwise they will know how to play against the deck. But again, I think that you guys deserve to know a little bit of how the deck actually works. That's the downside on doing these kind of videos, because the plus point is that you guys would learn something from it. The downside is that people that do not play Spike will also know more about the deck. Alright, so we shuffled, we cut, and we're good to go. So right here we need our beautiful starter. We will have the markers right here, and of course we have the quick shield in the beautiful Crushing the Meta logo. Right, so we're good to go. So we have the first hands 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's show it. So we have grade 2, grade 0, grade 1, grade 1, and the Heal Guardian. So depending on going first or second, it depends on if you keep the Heal Guardian or not in hand, depending on against which deck you play, or feeling like it, you keep the PG on hand or not. So right here, let's just get 2 dices, and let's say that the Spike one is us, and the let's just take this one, and the green one is the opponents, and see who goes first. All right, so we threw 1. They threw 4. So yeah, we kind of go second, which is okay. And right here we would have to keep more defense, so we kind of have to keep the Heal Guardian on hand, the PG as well, and we could keep this and this back and draw one more card. And we don't have Rising, but it's okay, it's fine. So going second is kind of interesting in this deck because you don't really have to pressure your opponent too much. Putting them at 1 damage is kind of cool because again you will basically finish them off on your second grade 2 ride. That's something that you have to keep in mind. On your first grade 3 ride you still go all out, but before that you actually just relax, chill, and see what will happen. I also don't mind taking damage in this deck at all. So this is our hands, pretty good. You could ride into grade 1. That's the biggest issue that I face in this deck, and we need to get rising. So they go first, they draw, blah blah blah, and then it's our turn. We drew into a draw trigger, and now we could ride into Verdi right here, and we draw, and we get a quick shield. Now we're already good to go because we have rising, and from that moment on, this game is already going pretty well. Activate the skill to get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and this is even better because we have the 2 options. You could get the Bull Spike right here because you will always need Bull Spike, but you could also get the Spiking Cyclone because it's harder to get Spiking Cyclone to the hand because we only play 2 copies. So let's say we get Spiking Cyclone to the hand, return these 4, and we have to discard something. In this case, most of the time discarding the quick shield is better than revealing what you play. And you attack into the opponent, you shuffle, you give it a cut, and you do your drive trick. So if they need the counterblast right here, they would say no guard. That's when the Snapper Devil is good, but getting the grade 3 to the hand is even better. If they do not need a counterblast, then they would just put a 15k shield right here, which is no pass. So let's say that they want to do another cut, because why not, for argument's sake. We drive check, let's call it nothing, and it's their turn. So let's say that now they go to grade 2, and let's say that they want to pressure you. So we could drop the Heal Guardian or leave it to their grade 3 turn. So let's say that you take the first attack, Rising, that's sad, and you take the second attack. That's Bull Spike, that's sad as well. It's our turn, we stand and draw, drew a second Rising, pretty good. And now we ride into the Agile fullback. Right here, we actually want to drop a second Agile fullback to the field for multiple reasons. One reason is the next turn we will get a stronger Agile fullback, and the second reason is we want to do them at least 1 damage. And if they guarded the first attack, this is the best combo that you do. Right here, if they are on 1 damage, you could attack with this first, then this, you're good to go because they take the 2 damage, they die. Or they die later on because they don't want to stay at 2. And you know that they don't have a quick shield, so they have to drop a 10k right here, or they take this one and put a 15k to guard this one. If they have rare guards, then you basically attack with this first because this would always hit a rare guard. So your drive check is Verdi. We're not getting a good drive checks, are we? And this will attack again, and let's assume that they are on 1 damage. So it's their turn, they go, they attack. Basically you will lose this because you want to guard, you will lose this, and let's say you lose that as well and you take 1 or 2 damage. So let's say that your hand is looking like this. Stand, draw, whew, we could have drawn this, and then we ride. We get markers, let's do purple, and let's do red. Purple and red. Alright, and we could also put them right here because the Agile fullback will attack anyway. So right here we will look through the deck for our last Agile fullback, and we will call it. Here we go. Shuffle. We'll keep the Rising in the hands, and we will call right here the Spiking Cyclone. So in this moment, there are multiple ways that you could go with this strategy. You could try to wait for next turn and kill them on that turn. That's when you keep Rising, you keep the Merlin, and you keep these 2. But you could always go all out on this turn. And depending on against which deck you play and if you want, and you could survive the next turn. If you go all out, then you will not use the skill. So you'll keep this on the field. And what you do right here, so you're right, you create the markers And what you do is you call out your Rising, you activate the Ambush Dexter to put the Rising into the soul, and you create 2 grade 3s, being the Juggernaut Maximum and your Bull Spike. Then you will call the Spiking Cyclone, and from this moment you will Soul Blast your Rising to target these 2. Of course, this will get the extra 10k, so let's use some dices. Because why not? A Juggernaut like his black dice. And now you already have targeted these 2, so you could call on the top of them. So let's say you call the Ambush Dexter, and the Ambush Dexter right here will use his ability to put the Agile fullback to the soul, call 2 new grade 2s. That's when you will call your Agile fullback that get his beautiful orange dice, and the second grade 3 that you will call right here is of course grade 2 is of course your linebacker, and you're left with only 1 card in your hand, and otherwise you will be having these 3 in your hand, but you will not have these 2 on the field. So it depends. If your opponent is at 2 damage, then this could be a very good strategy because they could take only 1 attack. But if your opponent's at 1 damage, I would not do this, and I would wait for next turn. There's also a chance that you go for a double Bull Spike. That would also work. So shuffle, 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 do a cut, and you basically have only this card in your hand, and this will be right here. Alright, now we have 4 soul to move around. So the first attack right here will be the Agile fullback, attacking for 30. They could take that attack if they are on 2 damage. Again, it depends on how much damage they have. Normally, I place the markers on my weakest attack first. So if I want to go for this strategy, I would normally place it in the back row on one of the sides. So my normal weakest attack will be just the 20k, which means right here they will guard with a 10k from their hand, which his skill will activate to draw us a card and to retire one of their interceptors, just like that. So this is perfect. Then you Soul Blast and move the markers to the Juggernaut. And the Juggernaut will attack for 33. And this is when they will take this attack. Then you attack with the Rising, activating the skill of the Spiking Cyclone to restand this boy. Remember that he gets a 10k as well because of Spiking ability. And now they will be at 3 damage. And you could gamble on this attack. So you will not... let's say that they are on 4 damage because we assume that they are on 2 damage. Otherwise, we would not go for this strategy. So they are on 4 damage. They took 1 damage and it was a trigger. So they are on 22, 23, whatever. So you attack with this and you don't have to move the markers because you have 3 soul and you will need to... 1, 2. You need 2 soul to move it twice. If you use the move the markers right here, you will have 2 soul left and 1, 2, 3 attacks. So that's the moment I normally do not move the markers. So right here you attack and they will gamble on you not getting a crit, or they will guard this attack. Regardless, we still do the drive check, draw 1, second drive check, no crit. So if they gambled on that, they go to 5 damage, whatever. But normally they will not gamble. Right, then you attack with the Juggernaut, and then you Soul Blast 1 more. We use the skill twice, so remember that it's cost 3 Counter Blast. Move the markers, move them first to the back row, because again, you don't have anything left, any copies of him left. And then, last but not least, you'll move the markers right here, and that will cost you 1 more soul. And that will be it for this turn. Next turn, you will take damage, and you will basically lose most of your hand defending. So let's say a double PG and this, and let's say you intercept with this as well. So this will be your field, and you will stand and draw trigger. Beautiful. So right here you will lose this into your soul because there is no reason to keep it, and you will lose this into your soul as well. So basically what you have right here is no Juggernaut at all because you've already lost that, or you choose to leave him on the field to have an attacker. That would work. So you have a very, very, very weak turn because you didn't have anything like a Rona or an Ambush Dexter that could make you the right cards. And with that, you will just Soul Blast, target this one. You could target him as well. You could call this to the field or not, pretty much up to you. You attack with this first, then you will attack with him. Basically, if this did not hit, you still draw and retire. Then you attack and you have your drive check, crit, and a Rona. Pretty good. And then last but not least, Soul Blast, move the markers right here and attack. But as you see, it's a very weak turn. Well, if we go back, so we put this to the deck, we put the drive check into the deck, which was these, and we could pretty easy go back to what we had. So this was on the deck, this was on the deck, this was right here, this was on the deck, this was in our hands, and it would be like, D-Boy, how could you remember all of that? Well, you forget that I have a semi-photographic memory. This was our first right target, second right target. We called this to the field. We had 2 copies of Ambush Dexter in our hands. We had this one that we guarded with on the grade 2. We had this one as well, so we guarded with these. We also said that we guarded with this one, and with that we had these on hand. This will go back to the deck. So I think, if I remember correctly, then our hand was like this. If we assume that we guarded with this. And this will go to the deck as well. And this was our damage. So if this was the case, and from this moment on, we ride into the Rising. We create the Force 1 and a Force 2 marker, but we didn't want to create this one. So let's say that we went with purple and blue. Purple and blue. We have them right here. And this was the rest of our hand. So what I normally would do right here is I will use this, put it in the soul to call a new one. Then we have the option to call, put to the soul, count +1, and get this boy and our last Spiking Cyclone. You shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Bloop, bloop. And keep these in hand, because this will make a huge difference for the next turn. So right here, what you do is you will Soul Blast 1 and target these 2. This get the extra 10k. You already get good attackers right here, because this will be your first attack. Then you don't retire and draw yet, because normally they will just let this attack go through. Then you Soul Blast 1, you move the markers to this boy. This boy will attack for 30, as he is your strongest attacker by himself. Then you attack with him, then you use the Count Blast, then you restand this. Then you do a drive check of 1 and 2, very bad. You retire and draw, pretty good. And then you will attack with this side, Soul Blast, move the markers. And just like that, you have a Count Blast left and a good cards on hand to do your shenanigans for next turn. So next turn, if you check damage 1, check damage 2, and let's say that you lose everything in your hand except the cards that you kept, which this is not lots of shield value, but for argument's sake, let's just do that. Next turn, you stand, you draw into a draw, because why not? You ride into the Rising, and that's when this interesting strategy will come in play. So we play the Force 2 marker, and the Force 1 marker, I mean, and the Force 2 marker will go to the Rising himself. Right here, we will place the Ambush Dexter after using the skill of the Rising. We also, of course, move this to the soul, or we try to use his ability to target him and create something different. But let's say that right here you move him to the soul to call nothing, because you don't have any of him left in the deck, which is sad. If you would have a copy of him left in the deck, then that would be amazing because your strategy will be full. So right here, what you do is you do not use his ability, you call the Ambush Dexter after using the ability of Rising to target these two. So you're Rising into these two, then you call Ambush Dexter and you put this into your soul, and that's when you call one and call the Linebacker. Of course, it would have been better if you had a Juggernaut on the field, but this is still very, very good. Alright, so what will happen right here, still have the PG left on hand, because we draw into it. Shuffle, and you have your full out strategy. So your first attacker would be Loop. Remember that this one has the plus 10k. This would be your first attacker, although this is 5k stronger, but this will still be your first attacker because you don't want to move the markers. Then you attack with the Rising. The Rising already has an extra 20k because of the skill of Spiking Cyclone. You have 4 markers. Activate the skill of Rising, counterblast of 1. We have already used the skill of Ambush Dexter, another counterblast to restand this boy. Now you attack with this without moving the markers, very important. Attack number 1, attack number 2. Draft check, nothing, and draw trigger. Why not? So we give the extra 10k to whatever rearguard you have on the field. Let's say you give it to this boy. Whatever you like. We draw 1 if they... Damn. If they guarded this attack, that's the moment you retire and draw. And yeah, let's put these right with the draw trigger. Now you have attacked 2 times. Then this will be the 3rd attack. Then you will have 3 soul left. We have 1, 2, 3 attackers, so we could not use his ability. But again, if we had a Juggernaut, then we could have used his ability. Soul Blast 1, move the markers to the back row. I would do that first because you want to leave your markers at the front row at the end of the turn. So this would be 10, 20, 30, 40. If we had the chance to use his ability, we lose 1 more counterblast. He would have been huge, which is good as well, but we don't because we don't have enough soul to move it around for 1 more time. That's why I hate that he cost the Soul Blast. I'm okay with the Counter Blast, but I hate that he cost the Soul Blast. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th attack. Then you would Soul Blast to move the markers right here. This would be the 5th attack. Then you Soul Blast to move the markers right here. This would be the 6th attack. And that's insane, right? This is insane. So that's how the deck works with random cards on hand. Now then you would say, D-Boy, how does the deck works if you have the perfect hand? Because this is already insane. So how would that work? Well, basically that's hell for your opponent, but let's show them hell because the deck is called Rising Hell. So the best thing that will happen, I will play without the hand. I will just show you how the deck would work. So normally you would ride into whatever, an Ambush Dexter or let's say a Verdi. A William is also nice. Let's say we ride into William just because we want to show the card as well. So your William is kind of random in this strategy because you don't really want to have him on the field, but let's show them. So let's say you go first, you ride into William, you draw whatever, then it's their turn, they attack onto you, they do you 1 damage. Then you ride into Rona, activate Rona's skill to call, of course, the one and only big ass Juggernaut. The Juggernaut right here is huge because this boy already could go into the soul next turn. Remember that Juggernaut likes his black die because it's Juggernaut. And then from this moment on, of course, you will love to call 2 great 2s from your hand, and it's these 2. Remember that the William already come out of your soul, so that's good as well. Basically, with this strategy, you're already good to go because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks. Just like that. And they have to drop the heal. They have to drop the heal right here. If they don't, then they will have lots of damage, or at least get the defensive trigger. Dropping the heal is what you want. Why? Because you want to ham them to drop the heal on this turn and no next turn. You would say this is too much to ask from the deck, then okay, this should be easy because you get him from him, you get him from riding, and this is the only card you call from your hand, so you're good to go. You also have a big hand. So let's say you didn't get this. Alright, right here you attack first with this. You want them to drop their quick shield, then you could attack with this because then they would have to take this attack and guard this. And that's also good to go. And then you attack with Rona, you do your best drive check. Another Rona. And then you attack with this. So that's basically your strategy. Right here, things will get interesting because most of the time your opponent would like to get rid of your Juggernaut and then they will attack you. If they don't give you counterblast, that's also good because you will still have a very strong first right turn, and then you have lots of damage that you could take on their first grade 3 turn, which means that you will have a second rising turn. That is perfect. What you want to create, if they don't give you the damage, let's say that they attacked into your Juggernaut and that's it, then it's your turn, and then you ride into, of course, the rising, and right here, depending on what you have in your hand, you want to create a new one, and you want to at least have a bull spike. If you don't have a bull spike or a spiking cyclone in your hand, you're still good to go because he could still move the markers around. But normally you do have a bull spike. So let's say that you have these two, and let's say that they kept you on 1 damage. So you create the bull spike. And let's say that you have something like Esprit. So you do this, and you Soul Blast just for the bull spike. Normally you will have the double bull spike. That's the best thing, because then you draw 2, you retire 2. So from this point on, you will attack. He will have his marker. You also do not commit too much from your hand. You see that you're still keeping lots of cards on hand. You attack, then you basically Soul Blast 1 to move the markers to this side. You attack again. You will put any of these back to your deck depending on what you had on damage. Sometimes you want to keep him alive. Sometimes you want to get this for the next turn. Again, it depends on what you have in your hand and what you have in your damage. At the end of the battle, this goes soul. You draw 1. Then you basically use the skill of William to put him into the soul to move the markers to this. And then you could attack. If they could not retire him, this is your curse, because you will leave the markers right here, which is good as well. Attack, and then drive check, blah, blah, blah. And then draw. Nice. And then you move the markers to the back row. And you still have 2 soul left, and then you attack again. Alright, so that's basically it. They retire this or leave him on the field. Most of the time they will, and then the next turn you will stand and you draw, and that's when you want to ride into your second rising, and this is basically your killer turn. There are not many decks that could stop this turn, so you ride, you create more markers. Of course, you give one of the markers to the rising himself, and then you give the second force marker to this. This will go into your soul to give us a new one with a new 10k, the one that we just backed on the deck. And then right here you have cards like Ambush Dexter. Just calling 1 card from your hand, the Ambush Dexter, will put this into your soul, and it will give you the Spiking Cyclone and this one. But most of the time you will actually have this already in your hand, or you have a Rona that could create it. And you use his ability to create the 2 grade 2s. And the 2 grade 2s that you want to create is him and a linebacker. If you have a Juggernaut in your hand, that's the best thing. So this will happen. This will be your field, right? And then you use the skill of Rising to basically target these 2. And as I said, if you have a Rising, a Juggernaut, then that would be even better, because then you have your biggest, strongest attackers on the field, just like that. And this is the 6th strongest attack that you could create on your second rising turn. Alright, so right here, remember that he gets his dice, he gets his dice, because we've already targeted these 2, so you're good to go. How much soul do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. If we have used the ability to put him into the soul, again, because we have enough copies, then we have the 5 soul. That's when you could go full strategy. Alright, so right here again, I will not move the markers to my rising, which means that this is the card that would restand, which means 5 less K for the opponent to guard, which is good for them. If we ended up putting the markers right here, because we knew that we could call a Juggernaut on the last turn, so we attack with this and then with the attacker right here that we had, that could work as well. But let's say we did it like this. Sure, why not? Alright, so this will be the first attacker. Attack number 1. This is 40, huge. Attack with this, 33, counterblast 1, restand. And we have one more counterblast to use later because we used only one. And yeah, this will be 33, second attack. Then this will attack again for 40, third attack. Then we now Soul Blast to move the markers to this side. And then we attack with this. This is 10, 20, 30, 43. Then we do a Soul Blast to move the markers right here, and then we attack. We use the skill to Soul Blast 1, Counterblast 1, and make him huge. So he will get 5k for every marker. Does it have to be on the same circle? I think not, right? Yeah, for each force marker on your circles, doesn't really matter. So this is extra 20. So this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So crazy, right? 50 just like that. And then we Soul Blast one more. We still have one more soul to spare. And we move all the markers to this side, and then we attack. Of course, these will move as well the whole time, except on the first attack, because we do not move the markers. This is the 6 attacks. Crazy, right? You don't have to create the 6 attacks. 4 attacks is good as well, with his counterblast or his counterblast. 4 attacks is crazy. 5 attacks is insane. 6 attacks is just overkill. Alright, that's basically it. That's everything I wanted to show you guys. Again, I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys learned something from it. I hope that you guys don't show this to all of your friends. Just a spike for the players may see this combo. For me, I hope that the deck will change a little bit when we get into the end of the year and the single format, just because I want a different grade 3 that I would target with Rising. Although this card works perfectly because it costs you less soul, he gives Rising the power, the buff that he needs for with his own marker. The second grade 3 turn is something that I have thought about for a very long time, and this is the best way to do it. But again, I do find it refreshing to have new units that you could you could target with Rising. Maybe they could change things a little bit and give us a very good rearguard skill, like a Skydiver with a skill that you will only use him as a rearguard, that you would want to use in this deck, but still as a rearguard. That would be interesting. Or they give us a grade 4 that you could not target with the Rising, but you could go, like on the second turn, you ride into that grade 4, the third turn or whatever. Card like Eve, like they have for Bermuda. I don't know. I'm interested to see which course I think the right word is that Bushiroad will take. For me, it doesn't really matter as long as we get a good grade 1 and good grade 2 to use, and yeah, a grade 3 would be perfect as well. Something for Rising to play with, because all the cards that we got from the last 3 clan selections were just cards that you could not use with Rising. And playing this deck is as old as like 2 years now, because like, yes, you have linebacker, yes, you have full back, but to be honest, your grade 3s are very old. Like the Spiking Cyclone came from the same set as Rising himself, and the Bull Spike was even before that. So I don't know. I think that the deck needs, Rising needs a new grade 3 that he could target. That's my opinion. What's your opinion? Let me know, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this strategy. Let me know if you have another build that you play and you enjoy more. Let me know if and what you think about the cards that we will be getting in the clan selection. Will it be do you think that it will be a grade 4? Do you think that it will be a Dudley? Do you think that it would be something that you could use with Rising? I don't know. Let me know. For me, that was actually it for this video. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for being such a good audience. And thank you for just enjoying our content. We'll hope to see you in the next video. So till next time.